And we welcome now former Secret Service agent for two presidents, Bush Sr. and Clinton, Donald Lane. Donald, great to have you on. In a situation like this, where these old barriers were in the process of being replaced, what do you believe is the best pivot for a busy night like New Year's Eve?
Good to see you again, Kelly. The best pivot would be exactly what they did. Apparently not, to total success, but it would be to block it with a vehicle of some kind, either a bus or in this case, police cruisers. And then you could also have some barriers up, barricades could also help in this circumstance. But with that, you also need police officers around that area to make sure that if anybody attempts to or crashes through to try to breach these things, that you have a plan of action immediately to address it.
This is a massive challenge for law enforcement, especially when you're talking about someone willing to die to kill others. How else can law enforcement prevent similar attacks on large crowds and in public spaces like Bourbon Street?
The best way to do it is, specifically with respect to what happened here, is to set events up where they are far enough away from traffic, vehicle traffic, to where you can vet people on foot coming in and out. Even then, of course, in soft targets where you're not vetting everyone, people can bring guns and so forth. But at least it eliminates, in that case, a vehicle being able to come in, which in this case obviously did catastrophic damage. So, positioning those things further away, the events further away from where you would normally have traffic, vehicle traffic, would be one of the best ways to do it. And then ultimately, these soft targets are very hard to protect 100%, where you're going to have human beings gathering. And as you said, if you have the motivation of someone who's willing to die in the course of carrying out one of these disgusting events, there's only so much you can do at some point.
Yeah, we are just getting into the newsroom now that the president will convene members of his Homeland Security team in the Situation Room to receive an update on this investigation. What will those conversations look like, Donald?
Well, I think they're really going to be interested in tonight and the game and what's being done by the JTTF, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, as far as the investigation. They'll get briefed on that first, and who this individual was, any associates that he may have, and the investigation into those folks. And then they'll be also taking a look at, some of the events coming up. As I said, the Sugar Bowl tonight. You have the Super Bowl coming up here shortly. So all of those things are going to be questions that'll be asked in that briefing, to determine, hey, what is the plan of action moving forward? Do we have a strong plan? Do you need any additional resources?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I know you've been tracking this trend as well, with vehicle attacks increasing in recent decades. We've seen tourist areas from New York to Paris become pedestrian only. How do you see this incident specifically impacting an American destination like Bourbon Street?
Well, I don't think it'll keep people away necessarily. Like a lot of things, I think as time goes by, people move on with their lives. I think what's vital here is that those bollards are in place and that there's no downtime with them. If there is, that there's a really strong plan to barricade those streets off prior to having an event like New Year's Eve or Mardi Gras or any other type of large event where people are going to be present. So hopefully the city will rebound from this, and I have no doubt that they will.
And speaking of some of those larger events, the city's gearing up for quite a number of them, including the Super Bowl. What do you believe the specific security measures will be? How will they evolve in light of these recent events?
Well, what they're going to do, you're going to have harder targets in those cases. The Super Bowl will be inside the Superdome, obviously, where you'll be able to very strictly dictate who comes in and out of those areas. And so last night they began, sanitizing those areas. Once they were free of any, lingerers and any bombs or suspected IEDs, then a person was posted up there so that became a sterile environment. So it's a lot easier if you have checkpoints and so forth where you can vet people coming in and out as opposed to being on the street. And that's what they would be doing right now.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.